Alright guys, and welcome back to the UK MMA update with Your MMA.tv. Obviously we've been on a little bit of a slowdown over the Christmas period and New Year, so this will be the first one we've run since back in December. I know it's been a bit of a desolate and barren period for you guys without this hurried and frenzied few minutes of action. It's not the first time I've had to say those words, but yeah, we're straight back into it. UK MMA is really starting to kick back in, especially this past weekend, so there's lots to talk about. So this is your whistle-stop tour of the ins and outs, ups and downs, everything that's been going on. So to start with, at the weekend, obviously, Cage Warriors held their first show of the year in London, Cage Warriors 64, at the HMV Forum, and there were some big fights on that one. The main event, Corey Tate took on James Pennington in the bantamweight division, and a lot of people have been picking Pennington to go quite far. Looking at him for the Cage Warriors title shot, the UFC and whatnot. He's had some great performances, but Tate really came in hard, and he pulled off a guillotine there with a pretty brutal neck crank to get the win. Moves on to 8-2. He's won quite a few in a row now, and that really does, I think, change the dynamic of the Cage Warriors bantamweight division. Elsewhere, you had Jake Bostwick taking on Baldy, and that was a great fight. It was blood everywhere. Just the kind of fight that you freaks like to watch. That's on yourmma.tv if you want to go and check it out. Well worth 15 minutes of your time. You also had guys like Danny Roberts, Nad Narimani, and Matt Inman getting wins. Brad Wheeler in another good fight as always. Laura Howarth won as well. Spencer Hewitt, Charlie Watts. So yeah, loads of good names on there, and it was a really good card. If you get a chance to check it out again, always subscribe to the Cage Warriors TV channel on YouTube because they always get the fights up there. Elsewhere, Fight UK are looking to do some really big things this year. They've got their most ever shows lined up, I believe, and they're working off the last man standing tournament format, which the tournaments seem to be growing in popularity in UK MMA the last year or so, and with good reason. They're always exciting. A young lad from Manchester Predators won 3 fights in a night on Saturday to catch the last man standing title, and a 2k check, which for an amateur is unbelievable. He choked his first guy out with a guillotine. Then he got a TKO over a very good fighter in Liam Corrigan, and then another triangle finish in the final for 3 wins in one night, all in the first round. So yeah, well deserved. Pro fights on that card. There were wins for Deck Williams and Sam Creasy, so good wins for both of them guys, and I know they're looking to be active further on this year. A little bit of bad news was that Andy Ogle fought in Brazil. Unfortunately, got submitted in the 3rd round, but he did put in a good showing of himself. We know how tough and scrappy that guy is. Hopefully he'll get another chance. Charles Oliveira is a tough fight for anybody in that division, but Ogle showed that he belonged in there. One a little bit left field, Paul Daly fought in K1 style kickboxing this weekend up in Middlesbrough against Sean Lomas, a guy that anybody who's been around UK MMA will know. A true journeyman of the sport, a tough guy. Daly stopped him in the 3rd round. Lomas has taken a lot of hits to the head over the years. He's not an easy guy to stop. But me personally, it came as no surprise. Maybe it's time for Lomas to start calling it a day. The guy's tough, he's been around, but somebody's got to fear for his health, because I don't think he does. So that's what's been going on. What's coming up this weekend? They're made for the Cage event up in Sunderland. They've got some huge fights on there. Mulheron versus Economy is the main event for the heavyweight title, and that will be a titanic clash. You've got 2 big units, very well skilled, very well rounded. Mulheron's been making some waves, and he's taken on some big scalps. He's only 4-0, but he's beaten some good guys, Thompson, Towler, Paul Taylor. So Mulheron, he's a handful for anyone. Stav will have his hands full, but with his experience and the guys he'd been in there against, there is nothing he hasn't seen before, so that should be a really great fight. Definitely, if you're in the area, that's a card to check out, because it's pretty stacked from top to bottom. You've got Ultimate Impact in Gloucester. They're back with another solid card. They've got Pro MMA, Amateur MMA, and K1 style kickboxing on there as well. Reps in Preston, a well-run little amateur show. Battle Arena. and Inferno up in the northeast who do like a mixed rules show. Some of the big news coming out this week, there's been some big international fights signed for two of the UK's top heavyweights. Oli Thompson, obviously former Britain's strongest man, he'll be taking on multiple world's strongest man turned almost successful MMA fighter, Mariusz Pudzianowski in KSW. So you've got a few elements to that one, and it should be an interesting fight. I do think Thompson is the much better MMA fighter, but a guy like Pudzianowski, I suppose if he catches you, then it's going to work. But I fancy Thompson for that one. And Phil DeFries obviously made a good impression on New Year's Eve in Japan, because he'll be going back there and he's going to be fighting the gold medal Olympian judoka Satoshi Ishii. And obviously that's a real tough fight. That's a tough fight for any heavyweight, but Phil's got great grappling, and that should be a very good matchup, very well matched. So yeah, that's all for this week. Everything's really kicking back in. There's lots to see, lots to watch. Make sure you stay tuned to yourmma.tv for all the events, the updates, the news. You can find us on Twitter as well, at YourMMA. You can find me at JFurnessMMA. Any questions, anything you'd like to hear about, any of that stuff, feel free to fire them in. And we're going to be around a lot now the season's really kicked back in. So yeah, stay tuned and take it easy.